Who's here? So Whit, Krista, who else? Myself.
Whit, Krista, Dave, and Deborah. Anybody else from the committee here?
Andrea Beebe?
Sharon Kent.
Cheryl.
And so we have, from the committee, we have Whit, Dave, Krista, Deborah, Sharon. Anyone else?
I'm on now. Cheryl.
Who's it?
Cheryl.
Oh, Cheryl.
Cheryl.
Right. Hi, Cheryl.
Sorry, I was driving. I had to pull over and do this everything.
Oh, no worries at all. Are you able to do minutes, or do you need someone else to do that?
Oh, gosh.
Hi, it's Kent joining.
Kent. Okay, so we're going to get started.
Let me drive now. I can do minutes in a couple of minutes. I apologize. I didn't even think we needed it.
No, it's going to be a brief meeting.
I'm so sorry. I should have thought of that.
No worries at all. Is anybody else? Would anybody else like to take minutes? If not, I can do
Actually, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm just going to take my computer out in the car. I'm pulling over. Hold on. So there's like a half hour, probably, right? Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm getting my computer.
Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We know Kevin is not going to be here tonight. All right.
I'm so sorry. Okay, I'll just save it locally. I won't have the internet, but that's okay.
Okay, no worries. So we're calling to order at 7:03, and this is a special meeting. It was requested by Deborah. So Deborah, I'm going to turn it over to you to raise the issue.
Okay. So the reason I want to call this meeting today is because I feel that a lot of things are taking place about this committee's involvement. So, for example, the spring meeting last night, we weren't made aware of that until the night before. I think we were in position to go for it, as well as what was presented to the board of London. So I just feel that, like, people are kind of going forward with things and not necessarily getting the full committee input or approval via vote.
Okay, so what is it that you're asking us to do? You know, anybody can make a motion anytime to vote on anything, and I've encouraged them at times. You know, I have a lot of discretion as the chair about when to vote on something or when to do that, but of course anybody at any time can ask for a meeting, which this is.
Right.
Or anybody can.
My concern is that, like, this board of selectmen meeting was posted on Facebook before we even knew about it as a committee. There's information that's in the board of selectmen meeting. So why you find out of this for anybody else's? Why you find out of this at the same time as the public does? You should know this as a committee before this stuff goes public. So I'm not comfortable with that stuff being shared about us reviewing it as a committee, because obviously we should review the misinformation that is on the dates, for example. I'm also not comfortable having people talk to about board stuff when actually what's going to be spoke about and what's going to be presented. So those are just my concerns, because I just feel like we're not operating as a committee, but more as a one or two person show. I mean, that's okay if you're a one-person, two-person show, but it's not okay if you're part of a 9-person committee.
Okay.
So
anybody want to speak? Okay, are you done? Is there more?
This is Kent. I'm sorry. This is Kent, Dave. I don't think there was any ill intent, and I think the presumption was that the information that was being shared were things that were already part of the draft proposal. So that was kind of the umbrella under which it was operating. However, I can't help but agree that moving forward, these things should have been part of a communication plan, and they shouldn't have been discovered by other members of the committee. So I would certainly,
Jackie Putman.
I would certainly like to recommend that whether Deborah makes a motion or someone does, that all forms of meetings, whether they're informational or otherwise, need to be reviewed and agreed to as part of the committee.
And this is Whit. And if that's the case, can that be done via like just a group email, or do we have to have a special meeting to agree on that?
If they have a meeting like this, like we're having now, a special meeting, it's not a big deal to set up.
Well, right, and I think it's hard to do it because we can't communicate in other than a public forum. But
right.
I would hope that even in tonight's meeting, Dave, if there's a planned set of communications, that take place. If the one topic I thought we were going to talk about tonight was what is that remaining set of communications, meetings, whatever, that are going to take place between now and the submission of the plan, so we
right.
can have that, agreed to, so to speak, in tonight's meeting.
Right. The other thing, Kent, I have a problem with is that the survey stuff is included in plans. If you feel, if I was like it to be, so for example, I looked at other plans where they have like pie charts of who voted, who surveyed what answers. I think that the fact that we pay for a survey, it's not highlighted as part of the plan, is not a good thing in my opinion. I think that should be part of the plan. Actually, those plans in towns that have that survey information included from A to Z, we're not including that, and I have a problem with that. We pay for the plan, we ask people to participate, they participated, we're not sharing the full disclosure of the survey with them.
Okay,
I
so
agree with that.
Well, the survey is going to go in the appendix. It's a draft plan, and not everything is in there yet.
I don't want it in the appendix. I want it in the plan. That's what we pay for. It should be shared with the plan. In the plan.
Well, the appendix is part of the plan.
Yes.
It's the data at the end. Are you saying like a narrative, sort of describing some of the?
It should be like pie charts. This many people said this. This many people said that. This many people said this, and it gives a whole perspective of what everybody's thinking in town who participated in the survey.
I agree with that. I think if we skirt that and we just put it as an appendix, people may say, well, why did I bother? My opinion doesn't count. I'm just an appendix.
We report information from it in the plan. There's a whole section on the survey. Are you saying you want to copy the whole survey and all of the results into the main body of the plan?
Well, yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to be. It should be done via pie chart, Dave. Like I've seen other plans done. That Dave actually God's work on. So you could just do a question and this percentage voted for this percentage for that. Just do a pie chart. Question, pie chart, answer. So,
I'm not necessarily against doing that. The only thing I'd point out is the survey. A lot of it was kind of demographic information. I mean, it helps to characterize maybe Ridgefield as a community, how many homes are owned, how many are rented, what the average, this or that is. But it's not conclusionary. It's data. So I have no problem representing the data, sharing it. If it's to the extent that it's a section of the plan as opposed to an appendix, I think that's kind of semantics. But because I think the survey itself, at least the demographic kind of side of it, it's kind of contextual, but it doesn't tell us what people thought about affordable housing for the most part. It tells us what income strata they're in, whether they own, rent, whatever. So.
But the comments. What about the comment section?
Well, the comment section, I tried to summarize into the key categories and things that came forward, Lori, as you know and saw, and I think Dave and Cheryl did try to capture those things into the body of the draft. Correct, Dave? Cheryl?
Right. So I think it's an issue, and I do this for a living. Like I write reports. If I were to share all the data without any context, it's like a computer printout. So I put the data in an appendix, and I agree that that's more semantics. But the important part is that you take out the most salient information and you relate it to the content, the content of the plan. Now, you could dispute, maybe there's recommendations in terms of, I think you should put more comments in, I think you should have put this specific data, and it would be great in a pie chart. I think feedback like that is really helpful, but just saying, let's just put the data in a chart in the plan, I don't think is benefiting the plan, and I don't agree that that's, in its entirety, is really the best use of the data. If that makes sense.
Right. So why do we ask all those questions then as part of the plan? Why ask all those questions as part of the survey? Why ask all those questions why not do it?
Well, some of it was demographics, and what you do is you look at the data, you look at the results, and decide what's most relevant. Now, you might feel, certainly there might be stuff that's missing, and I totally welcome that. And I think that, maybe if there's not enough comments, if there's more information that can be pulled from the data, have you looked through, Deborah or Lori, looked at the data in the appendix and said, oh, this really should be captured in the report?
Yes.
Because I think that's really helpful, and we should pull that in.
Yeah.
That's good feedback.
Right. And I think the big picture is that that's something that we should all look at together. If I'm thinking it, or Deborah's thinking it, or one way, and somebody else is thinking it another, if we're not together to go over that, then we're missing. We're all missing each other's points. So I think that's where it comes back to everyone being, everyone speaking in with each other instead of being separate. I think it's so important for us to meet as a committee and discuss these things amongst ourselves.
This is Kent. I obviously don't disagree. I think we had chances based on Dave's input solicited to say, here's the draft, here's, the information. Do you have any comments? But it's not over. And that's why there's, information meetings. There's all sorts of things that are taking place. So the next meeting that we have, everyone should come prepared specifically with, what it is that they'd like to see added, changed, included.
Yes.
Yeah,
I agree.
It would have been a good time to do that during the several weeks where I said, please get your comments in.
Well, that
but
was
we're submitting them separately. That's the problem. It's like, and then we have to worry about FOIA and can we say certain things and talk about certain things and go back and forth on emails. So, we really needed to probably meet more times, whether it be, on a call like this or Zoom, whatever, instead of just submitting our comments separately. Because, sometimes I will reply to all, but then sometimes I won't, or some people don't reply all. They'll just send something to Dave. So, and I don't see that. And Deborah doesn't know what I'm saying. And
Dave, while I agree with you, that was your desire, maybe the intention in a perfect world. People aren't satisfied with that, so I think we have to, just like we're going to have public information meetings and then a formal information meeting even later in the process, right? We're going to have to react to that. So.
Well, that's okay. Why are we not told about the committee about the public information sessions? Right? If I found out about Facebook, why was the information server posted?
Why were we not told? I'm sorry, I couldn't catch that. Why were we not told about what?
Information sessions before they got posted. It's total blindside, Dave.
Well, I just
that blindsided me too, because I'm not even home. That it's spring break where, most people are away. I was really taken aback that it was, it's next week, and then it's on Saturday.
We didn't vote on that. We didn't agree to it. Why did that?
We needed to schedule meetings. We needed to do it quickly. We needed to
go
have.
by town hall schedule. Either we can use the bus center schedule. We should be restricted to town hall schedule. Sorry,
if I can say something, and I want to clarify so that you can let me know and I can understand. I feel like, between the PZ meeting and the Board of Selectmen meeting, I watched it, last night, and it seems to be this mad rush. And I understand that we do have a time limit, but I feel like everybody gave so many comments. I mean, I know John Katz was all over it with his comments, and he wanted to see revisions. And Board of Selectmen last night, there were so many things that my head was spinning, so many comments, I'd have to go back and re-listen to what their suggestions were. So they seem to be rushed. Is there a penalty if this plan doesn't get in on June 1st? I mean, I'm more concerned about getting it right, because it's like the POCD. This is something that we will always refer back to, and people will use it for good, and people will use it against us. So we have to be really careful with how we write this plan. It's going to be the Bible of affordable housing in Ridgefield. I just want to get it right. I'm not trying to push it off, but I just don't know if it's feasible at this point with all of the suggestions we've gotten from other committees that we could get it in June 1st. And are we going to get penalized somehow if we don't? Can we get an extension, a couple of weeks, a month?
I just feel like one of the things that the feedback that should be given to us on TV and what's happening. Do not put their feedback in that plan that not moves forward properly with the answer. So this is the feedback for those two groups. It's not included in the plan, then what's the point of presenting to those groups, right?
Yeah, I think there's a lot that has to be broken down because not all of us were in the PZ meeting. And not all of us were in the Board of Selectmen meeting.
I wasn't in there last night either.
Right. But that meeting, the P&Z meeting, was just to present it to them. They're going to read it and study it and get back to us now. It's the same thing with the Board of Selectmen.
Why are we
That was not their feedback. Let me finish. That was not their feedback last night. They were just reacting to what was in the overview, and it was clear from the meeting that not all of them had read the plan. So this is the time now that they're reading the plan. They come back to us with their comments. Planning and zoning comes back to us with their comments. We get comments during the public sessions next week.
So why do we share this with public? It's not ready to be shared. My question. This is not ready to be shared. Why do we say
we should be incorporating it? We should be incorporating with all the boards, with what the board's suggestions are. I mean, this is just my opinion, and you could tell me if you don't agree. But I think that the revision should be put in before we go to the public, so that if the public has an issue with it, we can say, well, is it okay that part cause, or Board of Selectmen said that was all right, or we didn't include it because Board of Selectmen didn't want it included. At least we have some.
Agreed.
Agreed. Yeah.
This is Kent with a reaction. I mean, the problem is, I think it's how many iterations you go through. I would submit we should get feedback from each entity one time, and then create a revision, republish it, and then look for further comment. I think if we react to every comment as we hear them, there's no stability to what anybody is looking at. I think everybody has to comment on the same draft, and I think that's what at least Planning and Zoning and the Board of Selectmen is in process of doing. If we haven't given them a deadline to get back to us, we should. If we have some public information sessions, those sessions, both of them, because they're intended to be the same session, I think, just to allow people to come, whichever is convenient. At the conclusion of that, we need to take all of that input and conclude what revisions would we make, and then republish.
Kent, why wouldn't we share the dates with us ahead of time? Why we're not talking?
I don't know. I can't answer that. Like I said, I think that was a mistake, and I think we should tonight conclude. Okay, that's a big mistake. But we should conclude what are the dates going forward, and agree that these are the dates, and everybody's aware of them. And I do agree that it takes another session where we all get together, just the same way the Board of Selectmen and Planning and Zoning and the public. If any member of the committee feels that they haven't had an appropriate say and wants to discuss it as a group, then they ought to come prepared to the next meeting, able to do that with very specific comments. And if somebody says, look, I think we're missing, 3 pie charts, then prepare at least a rough outline of what that pie charts would be, so it can be considered for inclusion.
Well, I'm also concerned about these dates that we're presenting this to the public. It's the 20th of April? We have several people who are away. Do we have enough people who are going to be here on those dates that are presented?
I think it's important that at least the committee all be there. I think that's important, but it is spring break this week and next week for some people.
We have 2 weeks of spring break?
No, I know that there are some people that are off the following week.
I'm off the following week, Dave. Cheryl.
Yeah.
So I'm leaving like 4 in the morning on the 21st. So I can come on the 20th. I don't know how late I can stay, but I'll try to stay for the whole thing. But I'm going to be out of the country for Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
It's Cheryl.
Right.
And I'm away that next Saturday as well. But I think this time of year, I work in a lot of schools, and I sort of staggered my vacation across 2 weeks. Schools are off all different times, and I know Ridgefield was this week, right?
Right.
Most schools I work with are off next week. Spring break winds up being like 2 to 3 weeks. So, unfortunately, I think we were in a time crunch, and Dave wanted to get these informational meetings in prior to the 35-day, when it goes, when we actually have the hearing. And I guess just looking at the town hall location, it was first seeing what's available. We're not going to bring dates to the board, right, until there's what dates are available. And I think what happened is, because I didn't find out earlier either, but it was, those dates were what was available. Now, maybe the board should have gone back and said, wait a second, those dates don't work. Let's see if we can find another venue. But I think, am I right, Dave, in your mind, you were probably thinking, well, there's really nothing to discuss because these are the only dates that the big conference room is available in town hall. I think I was copied on those when you asked about availability.
Oh, it's the same reason. The same. This is Charlotte. That's a good point. But as far as the meeting site, I was told that we could only meet in person, which is not true. I said so. They said we couldn't get a webinar place to do that. But I said we should just have a get an old-fashioned conference call going. Here we are. So it's things are doable. That doesn't have to be via webinar. It could be via old-fashioned conference call, and this could be done. I just feel like I've been fighting it over and over again. To be days that people are being talked about. They're talking about right plans publicly, and I'm not telling them.
Over and over again? Okay.
I'm concerned, too. We spent a lot of time on data, but then there are solid things that we need to consider, like the size of the ADUs. In the report, it had 2 different sizes, but as I'm looking at other towns, it seems like the average is more like 750, and we have 1,000 and 1,200 in different parts of the report. And I think, that's the nuts and bolts of what we're recommending is how many square feet are these ADUs going to be. All this data is really good and kind of interesting, but this is where we're going to put the rubber to the road, or whatever they call it. Mm-hmm. And, once we start putting that in writing and the committees start saying, oh, yes, we agree with this. I mean, we spend no time talking about stuff like that. There's one right there.
Hey, just as a point of reference, I need to leave at 7:30 precisely.
Okay.
So just
I would to make the motion that we postpone the information session meetings for next week.
That we do what?
I would to make a motion that we postpone the information session for next week. That's Wednesday and Saturday.
You want to postpone?
I would like to make a motion to postpone
the information sessions for a week.
Wednesday and Saturday. I should postpone those.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Okay, now we can discuss it. So I mean, just
So what is the?
We have to worry about the 30. Do we have to worry about the 35-day thing?
No, not for that.
Okay.
This is not a hearing. The 35-day thing was for a hearing.
Okay.
And what
So
about
what
an
would be the
extension?
benefit?
Do we get a penalty if we can't get it in on time, if we're not comfortable with it?
There's no statutory penalty. I don't know what penalty could be imposed, but there's no statutory penalty. We just have to get it in. We're supposed to get it in by the 1st.
When's the soonest that we as a committee could meet?
Well, we have our meeting coming up on the on April 27th is our meeting. And
What day, Dave? I'm sorry. Did you say 27?
Yeah, the fourth Wednesday.
Yes. Okay.
So, the idea was to get the public feedback in before the next meeting. But it sounds like if we do this motion, then we can't do that.
Well, one consideration might be if it's the concern about spring break, why don't we have one meeting during next week and another meeting the following week? And that's just a thought. It's it's a possible amendment
You mean
to
a second one after our board meeting?
Yeah, conceivably, or right after the board meeting. But at least we have some feedback.
Yeah, I still think we need to have a board meeting to discuss what the plan should be, next steps should be, where we should have the meetings, when we should have the meetings, and what we hope to accomplish in the meetings. What's the agenda? Do people just talk about what they agree, what they don't agree to? Let's just figure out what the flows of the meeting.
How about Deborah? Yeah.
Go ahead.
I like the idea of getting some feedback before the board meeting because, as Kent said, I think it's good to look at a bunch of different, it's out there already. Let's get some feedback on what's there, and then maybe we postpone one of the two till, and I think Kent was saying this too, so that
Cheryl, I have a problem
there's
with
another
the fact
opportunity.
that the schedules. I have a problem with the fact that this was scheduled board report, board knowledge. We want people just doing things as the only as a board.
I'm saying it was scheduled without you knowing. Is that what you're saying?
This whole thing was scheduled without the board fully being aware of it. That's the problem I have.
We are where we are right now, Deb. I mean, I understand,
right.
and going forward, but we are where we are. It's been scheduled now, and it's been publicized. So I think we need to decide what's best, given that they've already been publicized. We can't undo, go back in time. So I'm thinking maybe would a good compromise be we have one of the meetings to get some feedback before the board meeting so that, that can be incorporated.
I
like that proposal personally.
I wasn't made aware of the meeting on 21st, so I'm not in favor of that. I want the decision to be made as a board, not by one or two people.
Well, yeah. Again, Deborah, I mean, I stated my feelings right up front. I think in hindsight that was not good.
Right.
But to Delori's point, with Delori's point, we are where we are, and now we've got to decide what's the best way to move forward.
Okay. Sorry.
What's the best way to move?
Is that we going forward we need to continue to communicate as a group. Communities to know every step of the way what's happening, not like finding out about things on Facebook. Like Dave Bly said, Facebook post. Wait, what the hell's going on? I have no idea this was even happening. That was my response to I saw the post. Not to mention that was all wrong with the dates in May as opposed to April. So I mean, I just feel like we're in a rush to do so many things that you just screw up all the way.
It's
So
just not a good. It's not a good look.
So we've got to make a specific proposal and a decision, right? I think what is being discussed, and maybe I'll amend the motion, or at least propose an amendment. I think we should hold one of the meetings next week, and we should defer one until after our board meeting, in order to move forward. So
I will second that one.
Okay. So
we
probably.
Deborah would have to accept the amendment. Deborah would have to accept the amendment.
No one. Trust me. Someone else can amend it, but we have to decide if we want to allow an amendment. But that's a vote as well.
Ken's right. But I'm still not voting in favor of that. I'm voting against that.
That's fine. But everybody gets the vote. I mean, we got to get this to the point where. Right.
Okay. So if Deborah does not accept it as a friendly amendment, then we need to vote on the amendment.
Right. So because we're all talking as a board, I don't feel like I want to vote for this because all the reasons I talked about, at least for this call tonight.
Right. And like everyone, we all get one vote. So.
Well, so there's a motion on the table, and then there's a proposed amendment. So the motion was to move the original motion was to move our meetings back a week. And just to clarify, did that mean that we would do it the following Wednesday and Saturday? Or does that mean I would go find out what days are available and then call another meeting and then post a notice and then we have another meeting to decide when those meetings will be?
That sounded a little difficult. I think if we find out when the rooms are available. Either way, we're rescheduling, whether it be one meeting or two. You still have to go and find out whether a room is available for the second time, and we still have to all decide whether or not we'll vote on the date for the second meeting. So that was very complicated, but we have to do that anyway. So whether we change it for the 2 dates or the 1 date, we still have to go through the same procedure.
That's not necessarily true because if we do it for 1 day, at least we have 1 day in place, and then we don't have so many moving parts. At least maybe we should just keep one meeting in place and then only look for the second meeting. Because to find two meetings, see how lined up with everybody's schedule, it gets a little crazy.
That was Ken's proposal.
The planning of the first meeting was done. The proposed meeting dates were done in violation. The proposed meeting dates were a violation of the committee.
They were no wait. First, Deborah, stop. Deborah, stop right there.
They did not vote this.
They were not a violation of anything. Okay, it was a decision
committee has to vote on the dates,
and it was a decision. Wait, no. The public information sessions are not committee meetings.
We have to vote on dates, Dave. We do have to vote on dates as a committee. I'm sorry, but no. I'm thinking you do have to vote as a committee on dates. You can't just say we have the meeting on this date. You alone. You cannot say that. It's got to be a committee decision.
Right. Well, and the reason that I made the decision was because of the very limited window that we had.
But what about the rec center?
Now it looks like it was not. Right now it looks like it was not a very good decision. So we're deciding what to do in its place. But at no point did I violate Robert's Rules of Orders or any kind of official rules. And I just want to go on record as saying filing an ethics complaint just seemed pretty uncalled for, especially since we had this meeting tonight to discuss this. Now, there's a motion on the table, and the motion on the table is to move the sessions back, at least I assume you mean in the following week, to not a specific date. So then I would need to go find out what days are available, then call another meeting, then we have to have another meeting in order to decide if those are the dates that we will.
Just for the minutes. Yeah, for the minutes. Are you saying after the 427 meeting, Deborah? I just want to make sure I get the motion.
I'm saying after the 427 meeting. Meet on the 47 as a board and decide that then it's then. Meet as board.
To discuss at the meeting. You want it after the board meeting to discuss at the meeting.
Well, then when do we revise the plan? When do we revise the plan?
When
Look,
you have the board.
Let's try to move it forward. Let's make just a suggestion.
Yeah.
We have one motion. We ought to vote that one up or down. And I will say this: if that motion is voted down, then I will make a new motion to the point that we have one meeting before and one meeting after. But let's vote on the motion that was first put forward.
Right. Okay. So the motion was to move the public sessions to after the 27th.
So after our voting on 27th.
Okay. And then Lori seconded it.
Dates will be set dates to be set on the 27th. Okay.
Correct.
On the 27th. So that's a change to the original motion. Does somebody want to second this motion now?
Lori. Oh, okay.
I like Kent's motion, even though I seconded it.
No, Krista. No.
That's
one
fine.
thing at a time, please.
Yeah.
We're just voting on this one.
No, hold on. Deborah, you made a motion that we choose the dates at our meeting on the 27th. Is there a second to that motion?
Are you saying that we choose the date for the public session on April 27th, which means that the 20th and the 23rd would be canceled? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. The 20th and the 23rd would. The 20th and the 23rd would be canceled, and then
postponed. Postponed.
And
Not
then
canceled. Postponed.
Okay, it would be postponed, and that the dates to which they're postponed will be determined on the 27th.
I second that.
That's the motion.
Okay, so Lori seconds it. Discussion. No discussion.
Okay. I think we've discussed it quite thoroughly, but go ahead.
Well, I just want to say that gives us little time to do the revisions that we need to do. And I think this seriously puts us behind the 8 ball, so I don't think it's a good idea, and I will vote against it. Other comments?
And I personally don't disagree, and that's why there is a second pending motion, if this one is voted down.
Okay, and I also vote against it because I think I would like to have the information from one session. I think it would be important for a time-sensitive issue, and just to have that information, the plan's already out, so that we can, start incorporating, and it gives us something to discuss at the meeting too.
And I vote against it as well. Yeah. Let's just keep going. Yes or no?
All right. Is there any more discussion? Yeah. Is there any more discussion on this? All right. So I'm going to have to do a roll because we don't have a way of doing a voice vote. So the question is, do you want to postpone it completely and make the decision, postpone both dates and decide when to reset them on the 27th? With yes or no?
I vote no.
Yes.
No.
Okay. I vote no. Krista?
Is the fallback to do just one date?
Yes. But we have to vote on this motion first.
We have to vote on this
I'll vote
too.
that one first with the idea that I'm going to vote with the one date, move one day. I think it's a good compromise.
So you're voting
So you're saying no.
You're voting no?
I'm a no.
So with Dave,
Deborah?
Krista.
Deborah?
Yes.
Deborah's voting yes. Sharon?
No.
Mm-hmm.
Cheryl?
No.
Kent?
No.
Lori?
Yes. And I'd like clarity on the time sensitivity.
We're taking a vote now.
Okay.
Okay, so the motion does not carry.
Okay.
6 votes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2,
So
3, 4, 5.
I'd like to now make that second motion. I'm going to ask
Okay.
right?
6-4, 2 against, right?
Yeah. The second motion is that we keep one of the dates, and that we move one date until at the second date to be decided on 4/27. Now, just for argument's sake, I would assume let's keep the 20th date and then let's decide on the second date at our meeting on the 27th.
Okay, so to simplify the motion is to reschedule the meeting on the 23rd to a date that will be determined on the 27th.
Correct.
I'll second that.
Okay, seconded?
I did, Cheryl.
Okay,
32nd
Cheryl.
meeting
So
to a later date to be determined at the meeting. Okay.
Right.
Discussion.
Well, I wouldn't have been at 427, so it's the meeting I'd be at. I'm sorry, I wouldn't be at the 423. I like the idea of getting some input, and then it gives us more information we can discuss that you incorporate as we're starting to make changes to the plan.
Okay.
Anything
Any
else?
other discussion? Hearing no other discussion, let's move to a vote. So the motion is to keep the meeting on the 20th and to decide and postpone the one on the 23rd and decide on the date of postponement on the 27th.
Right.
Whit?
Oh, I'll vote yes.
I'll vote yes. Krista?
Yes. And I have to run. Is there more
Deborah?
discussion on it?
No.
Deborah, no. Sharon?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
Lori?
No.
Okay, so this is passed by 6 votes to 2.
Yeah, 6-2.
All right. And unfortunately, with that, I have to leave, folks, but we'll see you. Thanks much.
Thanks, Ken.
I have to go too. Sorry.
I have to go
All
also.
right.
Bye, guys.
All right.
I'm sitting
so,
in a parking
well,
lot in the rain.
Yeah, we're losing our quorum. So is there a motion to adjourn and postpone the review of the previous minutes until the next meeting?
Are you not going to have public comment?
We have time for maybe 2 minutes of public comment, but let's, all right, go ahead. Kirk?
Yes. If I understand it now, you're having a meeting on April 20th?
Correct.
Okay.
No,
How
not
has
a
that
meeting,
been
an informational session.
Right. How has
That's
that been
informational
communicated?
session.
How is that being communicated to the public?
It will be promoted to the public and it will be posted, but it's not an official meeting. It's an
Right.
information.
I mean, it's not on the town calendar yet, and I've looked for it. I can't find it anyplace. So I mean,
yeah, that has to. That has.
What kind of
right.
What kind of participation are you expecting?
I don't know. I figure that room will hold enough people, maybe 50 to 75 people. Any other comments?
Should be updated. Town calendar should be updated with meetings, just like Kendra's meeting was. The town calendar. Dave, the town calendar should reflect the meetings. So this is similar to like the Kendra's meeting was reflected.
Yes.
Should also be putting the price or patch or have a hub. We should be publishing this all over.
Okay. Are there any? Kurt, did you have any more comments?
No, I would have more, but I think in deference to your time, I will stop there.
Thank you.
Will this
any other
meeting
public
be
comment?
Zoom as well? Will this meeting be Zoom as well, or is it just an in-person?
Which one? The public meeting? The public information
session?
The
20th.
In person
It
only.
needs to be recorded. Why is that? What about people that can't attend in person?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they have two days.
Dave.
We'll discuss that on the 27th. How about that?
I think the 21st should be recorded. You can always ask Kurt to do it.
Well, we'll record.
I thought it was the 20th.
20th, yes.
The 20th.
We'll record it on the 20th, yes. Any other public comment?
Yeah, hi, this is Andrea Beebe. I was at the meeting last night and I've been listening today. My sense, this is just my sense, is that I feel this is all being rushed. I would rather see the 20th move to a later date and keep the Saturday date, because I think you have people that are going to be coming back into town who need to familiarize themselves with everything. And I really think you guys need to get together and talk and be on the same page before you present it to the town, because you're going to have more of this at the town meeting because not everybody is familiar or on the same page or agreed to the plan. I mean, I was kind of lost last night, and I actually looked at the plan online. So I think you should delay the 20th, move the 20th to a later date, keep the Saturday one, move the 20th to the following week. That's my suggestion. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? There is a motion to adjourn and to put off the minutes of the last session until this upcoming session on the 27th.
Who made that? Me? Who made that motion? Me?
I don't remember.
Oh, I said I would. Should I just put in
Okay.
for me then? Cheryl, okay.
Sure. And is there a second?
Second. I'll second it, this Sharon.
Sharon?
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, just voice. Anybody opposed? All right. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Bye.